Hi, I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified family coach, and I work with teenagers and adults, helping them prioritize their well-being in educational institutions and companies. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference in people's lives. And today I'm super excited to be talking to Claire, a very good friend of mine. Claire, can you tell us about yourself, please?
Sure. Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks for inviting me here. I'm Claire Sewell. I'm the founder of Swell Coach, and I work mainly with female business leaders, entrepreneurs, helping them achieve their goals, but mainly through overcoming their mental obstacles like lack of confidence, procrastination, fear, doubt, insecurity. So helping them live and lead like a lioness.
Wow. Oh, I love that. Lead like a lioness.
Yeah.
So you chose this title, How to Stop Worrying and Start Taking Action. Oh, hi, Stephanie.
Hi, Steph. Great to see you.
So what made
Steph's
you
in my
decide...
time zone, so it's very exciting.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Not many people are.
It's a good evening. So I thought, oh, okay. Yeah, what made you decide this? And I love the title because I think it is so relevant now as well. So can you tell us about that?
Well, I spend a lot of my conversations at work, and whether it's with clients or on connection calls or in comments and social media, talking about, fear of, fear, self-doubt, worry, procrastination. Basically, there's a lot of people that have a real heart calling, really passionate about something they want to do, or they want to, further their growth or development, but the worry and the self-doubt stops them. So they're living in, a day by day sort of not feeling the joy that they deserve, but really wanting to step out, but just so much fear and so much worry. So I just think it's a really relevant topic, like you say, like everyone's experiencing worry, and the whole idea of taking action into something new can be quite frightening.
No, definitely. And I think sometimes this happens with me as well. Sometimes when I agree to something, because like you said, I have the passion and I can't wait to do this and it's me, it aligns with me. But as the time gets closer and closer, sometimes I start thinking, hang on, did I make the right choice here? And the doubt sort of takes over. But now with coaching and everything, I can manage it. But do you feel like that's kind of a common thing as well, where as time gets closer, we get more scared?
Totally. Yeah, I was speaking with someone the other day, actually, and this is an amazing highlight of exactly what you're talking about. And she said she'd been asked to speak at a very high profile event, and immediately she thought, yes, that'd be exciting. And then went no. So she said, give me 24 hours and I'll think about it. And so the next day she listened, because she's quite self-aware. She listened to the immediate yes, and she went, all right, I'm going for it. So she said yes. And I think it was about 2 months out, and she said she spent 2 months in hell, just just the fear, the doubt, what it was, literally just tormenting herself. Why did I say yes to this? And as she's driving down to the event, she said to me, I just wanted the ground to swallow me up. I was in so much insecurity and doubt. But then she did the present. She gave the talk, and she nailed it. And she said it was the most enjoyable experience I've ever had. I bloody loved it, she said. And I thought, that happens all the time, but a lot of people don't even say yes. A lot of people just listen to their fear and their self-doubt that takes over, and they say no, and then they're missing out on these amazing opportunities where they could nail it and do something they really enjoy.
So what's the main advice here then, and how do you work with your clients with this?
Well, yeah, I think the main thing to just start with is looking at, there's a real misunderstanding about what worry is. For example, let's talk about that talk, or say you've got a presentation tomorrow, or not so much misunderstanding about what worry is, but where it comes from. Because lots of people, majority of people, will think that their external events and circumstances are causing them to feel worry.
Yeah.
Right. So it looks like you're delivering a talk tomorrow, you're delivering a presentation to the board of directors tomorrow, for example, and it really looks like your worry is coming from that presentation. But you're not in the presentation. The presentation's 24 hours out. The presentation's in the future. So, what's really going on is, and what worry is, and it's very simple, is it's just future imagined thinking about, that's sort of leaning towards lack. lack being disaster or it all going wrong. And so worry is that repetitive, focused thinking outside of this present moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so the first thing I always do to, the first thing that we're often focusing on with my clients is helping them, see that as human beings, we are magnificently designed to thrive in this moment now. Which really, highlights what I was talking about with that woman, how she nailed it in the moment. All that 2 months of torment that she put her through, the worry of that, the future imagined thinking was causing her feelings of worry and stress. But in the moment, she's designed to thrive, and she had a really good time and she nailed it. Amazing. So it's getting present to the now is really, really key, and becoming aware of the thoughts, the feeling connection, and how much time am I spending in this present moment?
Exactly. And I think sometimes when you have too much time, or I guess it's how you spend your time, because like you said with your friend, she was fine on the day because there was no time or space to think about anything else. She had to stay present when she was given that talk. So she didn't have time or space to worry, did she? So she had to just do it. And then she realized she could do it.
Yeah, when you're in the moment, and there's so many articles around this of, men and women being in, these massive disasters where, they're in huge threat and they just, they thrive. And they say afterwards, I don't even know where that idea came from, or I don't even know where that strength came from. We're designed to thrive in the moment. We are not designed to live outside of the present moment. But the trick is, or the challenge is, majority of us spend majority of our time in future imagined thinking or regretful past thinking.
Yes.
And I learned this. I read The Power of Now about 15 years ago, which got me on my coaching journey. And there's this great experiment that Eckhart Tolle says in that book, which is if you want to find out how much time you're spending in the present moment, just take a small task like cleaning your teeth or washing the dishes, which takes between 2 and 5 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Stacking, probably more stacking or unloading the dishwasher these days. and just notice how much time you're spending in the present moment, in this moment, in the action. Or are you off thinking about a conversation you had this morning, or a meeting that you've got this afternoon, or a book that you read 10 years ago, or a movie, or et cetera, et cetera. It's fascinating. And I was doing this 2-minute exercise thinking, I can't even spend 2 minutes. I can't even spend 10 seconds focusing in the present moment. I'm off. My mind's off everywhere.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that actually can lead to burnout as well, when you're just the extreme of that, when you're just really not thinking about now, you are thinking about a billion things, because that can, that's
massive. It's not, I literally was having this conversation with a client this morning. It's not the events or our to-do list that's causing our stress or burnout. It's the amount of time that we're thinking about those events, the amount of mental energy that we're putting into all the thoughts about the events, what we're making the events mean about us, what happens if this happens, what people are going to think. That's what leads to burnout. It's mental fatigue, right?
Yeah, and I have to say as well, Claire, like I've had days where I've been so stressed out, and I've looked back on the day and I've thought, actually, what made me stressed today? And it was just, it was my thinking. I didn't even do much. It was my thinking. And I spent so much time thinking, and
I mean, and we all do, right? We literally are living in our heads 24/7. 365 days of the year. Like, we are living in the feeling of our thoughts and feelings every single moment. But it just looks like we're living out here. Experiences, circumstances, situations are what's causing us to think. It's actually the other way around. It's a huge illusion.
You're right. And just before we get to Stephanie, and you're so right about being present. And I love what you said about we're made to thrive in the present, because that really resonates. Because I think every time I do something in the present moment, and probably other people as well, you just don't feel stressed, do you? Like going for a massage or walking along the beach, where you feel so calm. You feel so calm.
Well, you can even be in a chaotic situation where you've got a really, really busy day. But in any moment, if you sit and like just be present to this moment and say, am I okay in this moment? Am I stressed in this moment? Right here, right now. What happens is the stress goes when I start thinking about what I've got to do next.
Yes,
the stress goes when I've got to think about the 5-10 things that I've got for within the next hour, right? But in this moment now, I'm okay. And that's where this to-do, I'll give you a sort of a worry to-do list to help you through it. But one of the first things is, just, am I okay in this moment now? And what is all the things, where is my worry coming from? What are all the things that I'm thinking about? Let's write them down. Let's get visible, get it on paper, because the rumination is the challenge as well. Rumination causes more worry, heightened worry, stress can lead to anxiety and obviously overwhelm. So really getting our thoughts out on paper, there's relief in that just in itself, because now we can start getting practical and logical. What am I worrying about? We very rarely do that. We'll just spend so much time ruminating and sitting in the feeling of worry and thinking, well, that's just who I am. That's just how I operate.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Because I remember I used to have like anxiety when I was a teenager. And I had a lot of but it wasn't, I mean, I carried on doing everything. It didn't stop me doing things. But I just thought, oh, this is just, I'm a person who has anxiety and that's that. But then I started learning about coaching and things like that. And I realized, no, I don't have to have this anxiety for so long. I can process it, and there are ways to deal with it. And I don't have to feel this anxiety. It's not actually something that's me. It was
not
like
part of me. It's not who I am.
I thought it was my identity. That was it. And I didn't even try. I just thought, so like you said, there are definitely ways to manage this. And let's just see what Stephanie says. She says, borrow in trouble from tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs that, Stephanie?
And hi, I can never say your name. It's Eugen. Hi, Eugen. Lovely to see you. But no, sorry, Claire, carry on. So no, everything you're saying, I agree with. And I just think, but sometimes we also think, which I've been prone to think as well, I don't have time to, when you're in that state of stress and overwhelm, you think, I don't have time to ask myself how I'm feeling now. I just have to get this done. Just this thing, just the next thing.
Yeah. Well, look, there is the very helpful process of deducing it down, which I'll talk. Well, I might as well go into that now. But worry a lot of the time is thinking about, like I've said, future thinking, but thinking about all the things that I've got to do, right? And if we take like an example that I get, because I'm on LinkedIn, you probably get this as well a lot, is, I really want to do videos, but I just can't do it. I'd never be able to do what you do, sort of thing. And so we sit in this present moment now with where we're at, with no experience, let's say of videos. And we think about where we want to be, and we obviously compare ourselves to everyone else who's been doing it for 10, 20 years or whatever. We compare ourselves with the experts. And the ginormous cavern in between where we are now and where we want to be, that's just, it's too much for ourselves to get our head around. But that's what causes our worry. And then we think, I could never do that. But if you break it down to what outcome do I want? Okay, I want to be able to do videos. What do I want to talk about? I want to share my passion about, who we truly are, let's say, our true nature. Well, what do I know now? Or what could I do today that's going to help me get to that goal? So really, really, like funneling it down to the smallest of smalls, which is what's something I can do today? What's just one small step that's going to get me closer to that outcome, rather than thinking that I have to do all these things, all the things, which takes us into future imagined thinking, which is when the worry comes.
Oh, and it's so stressful. And then you just... you either make yourself ill, overwhelmed, or paralyzed and you can't do anything, or just stressed out and you can't do anything. So it's really...
Or stuck in procrastination, right?
Yes, the procrastination. But it can be a habit as well, can't it?
Yeah, I said, well, so habits become, so thoughts become feelings, feelings become behavior, so it's like conditioned thoughts. It all starts from, everything we do starts on the mental plane, which is thought. So habits are thoughts that have become beliefs that look real to us, and we're just doing it, operating on autopilot, basically. So everything can be resolved and solved by first starting to see what's happening on the mental plane, like what's going on in my thought environment, and how am I nurturing and nourishing that? Like I talk about we're designed to thrive, but our emotional guidance system is brilliant for helping us steer our direction, which is, if I'm feeling worry, then it's my body is saying, Mayday, Mayday, you're having some worried thinking, you're out of alignment with your true nature, right? You're designed to thrive, and you're in future or past thinking. So just become alert to what's going on up here. Now, up here, 95% of it's unconscious. So we don't necessarily know, we might not know the specific thoughts. It could be conditioned belief patterns from, long ago that are operating on autopilot. But the worry is telling me that I'm having some unhelpful thoughts. And so, really just getting present to what's going on for me now. Like what possibly could I be worrying about? Let's get present to that. Let's get present to what could be the underlying issue here. Like I said, write it all down. Now, with worry, what we don't tend to do, we'll spend so much time ruminating. We can spend months ruminating, like I said about this woman that I was talking about, this fear in this talk before. Like months and months. We spend so much time ruminating and worry, but we very rarely look at, okay, well, what's the worst case scenario here that could happen to me?
You're right.
And anything outside of death is solvable, right? So what's the solution? Okay, let's write down what's the really worst case scenario here for me? And what's the solution to that? If that occurs on the 99.9% time that might occur, 0.01% time that might occur.
Yeah.
What's my solution? And then the other thing we very rarely do with worry, because we do seem to be preconditioned to thoughts of lack, and we've trained ourselves to that, right? So the other thing we don't do is, what's the best case scenario here?
Yeah, I love that.
Like, we never think about that, do we? It's always the fair. But what if? What's the reward? What's the greatest thing that could happen if you took this step forward, this one small step forward to getting towards that goal? So that sort of thought process alone, and getting it out on paper and really just starting to think about this gets us more into a rational, logical mind of thinking, well, this is actually possible. Because a lot of our thoughts aren't even, accurate. They're not fact.
You're right. And do you think as well, I think sometimes when I used to worry so much, I mean, I still worry too much now, really. But I think it's just, like you said, maybe it's just a habit. It feels so familiar and safe. It's like just keeping you safe, or you think it's keeping you safe, being caught up in this worry. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like, like I say, there's a protection mechanism built in for us. I call it our ego self versus our infinite self. Our infinite self is, without going into too much detail about our infinite self, is that one that's always calling us forward. Come on, this is good for you. You want to do this. It's calling us forward into joy, into our pure potential. And the ego self is the one going, what are you thinking? You can't do that. You don't have the skills. You don't have the experience. You'll make a fool of yourself. Stay here. You're okay. Stay safe. Right, so we're conditioned to listen to the ego self. We're not conditioned. We've never heard about this infinite self. We never, Einstein called it our intuitive self versus our rational or logical self. But we're not tuned into it. We don't practice tuning into it, although we all have natural intuition. Some people are very intuitive. So we are conditioned, and we do live in a world that is leaning towards lack. We're always looking at lack. We're always looking at worst case. Look at our media. Media preaches fear and disaster. It wants to keep us buying their papers. So we do have a lean to, this is going to be terrible.
We do.
But there's a beautiful exercise as well. I work with my clients all about this, is how do we start connecting to that infinite self? How do we start listening to our intuition that's always guiding us forward into our greatest pure potential? What is that person that our guidance system is tuned into. The reason that we're out of alignment with, and when we're in worry and anxiety and fear, is because we're out of alignment with our infinite self that's calling us into our already greatness. So really getting present to the thought feeling connection, our guidance system that's magnificently designed to show us, hey, we're out of alignment, we're in our head, we're in future thinking, we're not in the now.
Yes.
And really starting to tune in through practicing listening to what our intuition is calling us to.
No, definitely. And I think, I don't know about you, but for me, definitely I find it easier to do when I'm like maybe exercising or moving in general. Like I find it harder to do that if I'm like, of course, in front of my laptop or something like that, you know?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And equally when you're stuck in the you know, the feeling of worry or fear or procrastination, the idea of moving forward or taking a smaller step forward feels so impossible. So actually things like walking away, breath work is amazing. On the out breath, it's telling your nervous system that you're okay, you're safe. So things like breath work, things like movement, dance, exercise, running, walking in nature, like all that sort of stuff is designed to call us back to our infinite self or to our true self, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yes. Which is all
so
free.
those
Free as well.
Yes, yeah, totally.
Sorry, you were going to say something.
Well, no, that's you know, so that's why movement feels right for you, because we're geared to coming back to our default position, and so all that sort of stuff that takes us out of our head, that gets us into the moment, running, exercise, meditation, yoga, although that doesn't work for everyone, right? Because you can be in yoga and still be in your head, or meditation and still be in your head. So it's not necessarily the practice.
Yes.
You know, you get hung up on the practice, but you want to see that when my thoughts are settled, I have thoughts, fresh thinking, fresh perspective that makes me, that reminds me that it's okay to move forward, that I can move forward, that I'm going to be okay, that I'm going to be safe.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think all of this, what you're saying, actually is vital to start your day with, like to really, really check in with yourself and spend 5-10 minutes at least with, you know, before your day starts. Because I think, and I used to always think, oh, I don't have time to do this, let's just quickly get on and check my emails or whatever. But actually spending this 5-10 minutes, you're more productive and you're more relaxed and you do more anyway, don't you? So it's just.
Well, I did a video about that recently, actually, because I remember, like, I've started probably for the last 3 years, I've been doing meditation, starting my day with meditation. And when I first started, I just started with 10 minutes. And even then I do not have 10 minutes to sit down and just be still. And I can't be still anyway. So it's a waste of time, you know, I had all that thinking sort of thing. And I really had to, but I could see the benefits. You know, the more you learn about energy and our thinking and lots of stuff, you can see that actually it's about slowing down so that you can speed up. It's, you know, so I just forced myself to do it. And we are so conditioned by the iPhone or the phone. The first thing in the morning, you reach for it and straight onto your emails sort of thing. So we do have to uncondition or decondition ourselves. But like meditation, I went from 10 minutes. I started seeing the benefits very quickly in the way I was feeling.
What were the benefits?
Well, just the way I was feeling. I just felt more settled. Like it felt like, strangely, it felt like I had more time, because I could see that calming my thoughts, starting the day with calm thoughts, meant that I wasn't waking up with the to-do list. So I would immediately, with the to-do list, I'd go into future thinking, which would cause my worry and my you know, so your body starts heart beating fast, feeling overwhelmed already, and then people reach for coffee and, you know, like, so all that, then the processed stuff that's harming our body anyway, we're out of, you know, we're kind of like, we're addicted almost to the thinking. So the settled,
you get addicted to feeling stressed as well.
So the 10 minutes of just sitting just allowed me to see, actually, I'm starting my day differently. My whole demeanor changed. The whole way I looked at the mornings started to change. And then, so I'm now doing an hour a day of like meditation, gratitude. Like I love it. I love it. And I very rarely have my mind just feels more, more settled more of the time. I'm in joy a lot of the time. I spend, I'm writing a book on joy at the moment, because it's our default state. It's our natural state of being. And yet anyone that hears me that will probably scoff. How can I be in joy? I've got too much on my mind. I don't have time for joy.
No, but it just makes so much sense, actually. But that's the thing, when you're caught up, when you're in that cycle, and I have been in it, you just can't, it's very hard to break, isn't it? Because you just, until you get forced, maybe you're forced to slow down, something happens.
Well, unfortunately, that's the worst thing that happens. We get forced into slowing down generally through sickness, because we just don't have the time. And COVID was really interesting for me, I thought, because a lot of people started seeing the priorities of how they were actually living their life, versus the slowed down, settled, calm, when you haven't got so much on, sort of thing. They started saying, hey, actually, there's a different way of living here. There's a different way of being, which is, which all comes back to how present are we in the moment.
Exactly. And I think also you were saying you work with, confidence, helping women with their self-confidence as well. And I think that's huge as well, because you have, and self-esteem, because sometimes you really have to say no to other people, and you have to have the confidence and the self-esteem to know that you're worth it, and your time and your whatever you're doing is more important than pleasing the other person. So that could come into play as well, couldn't it?
Totally. There's so many steps around that, though, because, look, our self-belief or self-love is the foundation of every single result we've ever had in our life. And so that's the foundation of really of all my coaching. But I wouldn't go out to say, look, I'm going to teach you how to love yourself more, because everyone would go, but ultimately that's where we're getting to, right? And so with self-love comes boundaries, saying no, actually this isn't what I want, this isn't for me. And for a lot of people that feels very frightening and very threatening. So looking at, well, actually, how do I, it's a well-worn analogy, is how do you fill your own cup first so that you can then serve others? It's super important. And so to have the confidence to be able to say, family, children, friends, actually, I'm just taking some time out for myself because it's vitally important so I can be with you more. Boundaries are huge. People pleasing is rife. Giving up ourself just so we could be affirmed or validated by other people. So all those sorts of boundaries and people pleasing and all that sort of stuff is a symptom of not being taught. And I don't think we have. There's a lot of this stuff we've never been taught, but we certainly have never been taught how to love ourselves. We've certainly been taught right from a very young age. At school, the education system is so designed outside in that if you get good grades, then you'll be accepted. If you do this, then you're a good girl. You'll be seen as a good boy. So our self-worth, we're designed from the very start. The system's designed to we look out there for our validation and how great we are as a person, which is why a lot of people, take their salary and their title as a part of their identity and their self-worth.
No, definitely. Wow, and time is running out. I could talk to you all day about this, Claire.
I've super gone off tangent as well.
No, it's all relevant. It's all relevant. So if somebody's feeling really stressed and overwhelmed this morning or this evening or whatever time it is,
wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, wherever you are in the world. And of course, they're probably thinking, I don't want to talk to anyone or see anyone because I can't do anything else. I haven't got time, So what would you say would be a very simple thing that they could just do now to sort of get them on the right track?
Well, I think the very simple thing is always get present. Get present to this moment right now and look around you and look for 10 things that you're super grateful for. Like, just get present to this moment now and where you are now and how far you've been. Like, what are you grateful for in this moment now? Because getting present takes us out of our head.
Yes.
Experiencing gratitude, as you well know, it changes our vibrational frequency. Worry is a very low vibrational frequency. Right. Gratitude, appreciation is a very high vibrational frequency. What we vibe out, we get more of. So if we're changing our vibrational frequency, even from worry to acceptance, I accept that in this moment I'm feeling worried, But, you know, looking around, so moving to gratitude is going to change your vibrational frequency. When we do that, we start to see things a little bit differently. It's almost like clearing the weeds of thought, so we can have a fresh perspective on what's going on for us.
Yeah. And you're right, actually. I think you hit the nail on the head. It is all about perspective, isn't it? When you're coming from a calm place, you see your day ahead of you completely different to if you wake up frantic.
Yeah, when we're worried, it looks like we've got this many options. Yeah. Where we're so tunnel visioned, we're single focused, because all we're thinking about is our well-being, and it's unharm. So our ego self is naturally gone off the radar.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to now is always the first key. I've got about a 6-step process on, you know, overcoming worry, and I very briefly went through it. But if anyone wants it, message me.
Yes, please. Yeah. Tell us how people can find you, and
so I'm on LinkedIn. So Claire Sewell, LinkedIn, but my email is Claire, Claire, at swellcoach, swellcoach.co.uk. So feel free to email me.
Yes, and if you have any links or anything, you can put them in the comments on LinkedIn, so people can just contact you. I mean, well, they can contact you on LinkedIn, but if you have any links to your website or anything, that would be great. Yes, and thank you so much, everybody, for coming. If you would like to message,
thanks, Eugene.
Please message directly or a comment. That's absolutely fine. And no, thank you so much, Claire. It's been amazing talking to you.
Always fun talking to you, Jasmine.
Yes, you too. You're full of knowledge, and you've said some things to me today that has made me really see things differently as well.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Sometimes you need to hear again as well, don't you? Or in a different way.
Yeah. Oh, in a different way, absolutely, right? Yeah, and I think repetition. I think it was Tony Robbins that said repetition is the mother of all skill. The more we hear things, the more we become aware of them and start taking notice of them and taking them into account.
100%. Well, thank you so much, Claire.
Good to see you.
And I'll be back next week at the normal time of 6 p.m. Dubai time.